Hi, welcome to the Andrew Buckle book review of The Amazing Spider-Man, issue 1. No, it isn't actually. This is the Taschen book, the Spider-Man 1962 to 1964 volume. This is huge, 698 pages, and it's, well, you can see there the spine, and there's the back cover. It weighs a ton. It does weigh a ton. You can see it's absolutely gigantic. Now, this is much bigger than the standard omnibus edition. Now, I have got the omnibus edition here just to show you comparison. So you can see the omnibus edition there. Now, I'm not going to lift both, but you can see the size there. It's fairly big. However, this is even bigger. Well, I've got a few issues with it. Not saying it's perfect by any stretch of the way. It is amazing, absolutely amazing right from the start. However, now I'm just going to show you there. You probably can't. You can see the rippling there. Look at the glue. Just slightly. Maybe it's just me, but I'm not particularly happy when I've spent a fair amount. And it's the same on that end as well. You can see when you open it up, it's a bit sort of, the glue is not perfect in any stretch of the imagination. Not for me anyway. Now, I just think, well, I'm certainly be fine. I'm certainly be fine. I'm certainly will not come away. And I have no intention of selling it anyway. So at the end of the day, it's not going to be an issue, even if it sort of... However, when you pay a reasonable amount of money, it's nice to actually get it, I would have thought, sewn. Doesn't look like it's sewn to me. I mean, it's to me, it's, yeah, not great. However, I'm just going to compare it with the Epic, because you can see now, I can lift that, as you can see the Epic. So that's more a standard size comic book. So obviously you've got the Epic collection. Now the Epic collection is brilliant. One of the best things about it is at the back you've got the original art pages, and you've also got there's the original art pages. However, I was quite surprised because they make no advertising about this with this book. The original art pages are also in here as well. Let's just go through the book itself. So let's just go. I mean, it's impressive. I mean, it's a really impressive. And sorry, I'm not going to be able to put it directly to the camera because it just weighs a ton. They've got too many of these pages, which is slightly, what's the name? I mean, they're okay, but nothing. Why? They could have used it, filled it up with maybe some other sort of like the pictures from Amazing Fantasy that obviously wasn't Spider-Man. Maybe that would have been a nice inclusion as well. They're not included. So you've got Amazing Fantasy 15, but you just got the Spider-Man one. So I just think sometimes this is just a bit of a filler, sort of this front bit. But however, you've got a lovely introduction. I love this one. You've got A Kind of Hero by Ralph Macchio. And you've got, look at that, you've got that. However, that, as far as I'm aware, that's from the annual. And now the annual is not included in this. Strange Tales annual, Spider-Man Tackles the Torch. So it's quite unusual to include that page, which is a very nice one, but also, of course, you've got examples there. You've got the Spider, Uncanny Tales there. You've also got Rawhide Kid, The Fly, and also, of course, more Ditko there. I mean, Ditko's always great. You've got here Spider-Man number 6. You've got quite a few original pages. Of course, you've got Fantastic Four, etc. And you've got some more original pages, which is great. Obviously, that one, Mysterio, that, to my mind, is just some of my favourite ones. I love that Mysterio. We've got quite a few Mysterio pages. Also got a fanzine one as well there, which is great. And then you got to the original thing. So let's just go through that. So you've got there, look at that glorious cover. Now that cover is absolutely beautiful. And then you get to the actual book. I mean, it's just absolutely superb. The colours are brilliant. They're not cleaned up. They're not, what's his name, there. Well, I think there's been some cleaning. I mean, I don't think that there's a bit of slight touch up, but they haven't sort of been cleaned down and restored and recoloured and done in the Marvel omnibus style. These are done as really to look as good as the original, sort of if you bought the books off the newsstand. Though you can see the size, they're much bigger and a lot heavier. I don't think it would have sold so many. The newsstand would have collapsed. However, you've got Amazing Spider-Man. This is another weird one that they didn't include, which was the Fantastic Four annual, which of course included the variant story. And it's just a pity, really, because it would have been nice if they'd included that as well. But you got there the Spider-Man one. I mean, just beautiful. I mean, it really is absolutely superb. I can't really think there's any issue with it. When you flick through it, it's just, you know, really, really, really beautiful. And also the thing I loved, and I was quite surprised, is how many adverts were in these. You got obviously the Tinkerer's story there. Now this includes Amazing Spider-Man 1 to 19 as well as the Amazing Fantasy, plus the annual. So you've got the annual one, obviously the one with the Sinister Six. But you got all these, look at these. I mean, these, watch for that. I mean, that is just beautiful. I don't think I've ever seen them as just as beautiful as that. Really, really brilliant. And you got, of course, the Dr. Octopus story, classic story. And again, it is just really super sharp. Just beautiful to see it this size and see it in its original form. Now, of course, if you've been buying the Marvel Tales, I suppose, if you've probably got those, they're probably fairly like the original comics. They haven't been cleaned up. But this is just awesome to see this. And again, every one of these covers, just beautiful. Look at that cover. Just superb. Now, I'm not going to rip these out and try and make it look like the original comics. But you could. I guess you could. And you've got these. Look at these. Just, I didn't realise how many sort of pages like this they had on the back pages. Return of Doctor Doom. Just absolute classic. You've got the lizard one there as well. It's just beautiful all the way through. And now I'm not going to spoil it, show every single page of this book. Of course not. But it is absolute first rate. You've got the Mysterio one there. The colours, everything about it. It's just super, super cleaned up, beautiful, but in the original style. It's not messed around and done as you would get, say, with an Epic or Omnibus edition. And it's just beautiful to see it. I wish Marvel would do this. Now, of course, there's debate. You could debate whether it's not. No, I understand the reasoning why they've gone for the cleaned up. I guess it's for the digital format. The digital format is for the next 50, 60, 100 years. In probably 100 years' time, people will probably not so be enthusiastic to look at these because, of course, this is more the nostalgia of this. If you've grown up with these sort of comics, it's not an issue. But certainly for the kids, I imagine lots prefer the modern style far more than the cleaned up. I have no problem with either. Doesn't worry me. But it's just beautiful. Absolutely. This is obviously the Green Goblin story. And you've got just story after story classic. There was a classic period. Ditko was just the must. You've got all the, of course, letter pages as well. Just absolutely. And they really look superb. Just absolutely super sharp. I love letters pages. I love all the comments pages, anything like that. And this, again, you've got more of these sort of lovely adverts, just done in such a beautiful style. It's just brilliant. And also the special announcement section, my favourite. I wish Marvel would bring out a special announcement section book just specific for that. I would love that, an omnibus edition for that. And you've just got page after page of and all the adverts. You've got all the adverts there as well. Just absolutely. But however, the best thing about it is the last bit. Always the best thing in the end. You've got the lovely, of course, this brilliant how they created, Ditko created it, Stan Lee, etc. And Steve Ditko created Spider-Man. And then you've got here the history. So you've got a section all about the credits, etc. And this sort of information, I must admit, I didn't realise some of the things about with Jack Kirby. So that's quite amazing as well. Then with that, go all the way through. And this says, it's got all the way Spider-Man 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to, and it says here, number 19, Amazing Spider-Man number 19. That's the last one. And Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 1 included. So you've got that. Also what you've got, of course, is at the back, you've got this, which is a surprise because they did not mention it. And that's the Birth of Spiderman, and you've got the original pages. You've got all of the original Amazing Fantasy 15, the original pages. Obviously not the pencil work. That would be even better, wouldn't it? But however, that sadly is long gone. But look at that. I mean, it's just absolutely glorious to see it in that size. Obviously, it's still not the size of the original. Be nice if Marvel, well, I assume it's not anyway. I assume the original pages are even bigger than this. But this is the biggest I've seen them. But it would be nice if Marvel brought out maybe a special sort of artist edition version, which was just of that. Of course, it would only be about 10 pages, wouldn't it? Wouldn't be very much. But still, it would be impressive to see the original pages at the original size. That would be something. Again, why Marvel don't bring out their own special artist editions, I do not know. Because I would be buying them, definitely. Or artisan editions as well. But this is just beautiful, just seeing the original pages. And it's just classic stuff. And then you got through, again, you got some extra pages at the end, which I don't see the point for have that. I would have preferred a couple of additional articles, a couple of additional more sections of original art would have been great, of course. And also maybe some of the extra stories that were not included, which, as I said, Strange Tales #2 comes to mind. That was the Wizard story, if I remember rightly. And also Fantastic Four #1 annual. There was the variant one. And you got biographies at the back as well. And this is just holding it. Now, I'll probably do a review again once I've actually read it more thoroughly, because, of course, I haven't read it thoroughly. But I've read the stories so many times over the years. I know the stories probably back to front. So actually to read them is not really particularly necessary at this instant. But still, it weighs a ton, holding it for a long. Apparently, they're going to be bringing out Fantastic Four I don't know about which issues they're going to bring out, but they're bringing out a Fantastic Four one, I think next year, maybe, or the year. I'm not certain when, to be honest. But that's from Taschen. So Taschen books, they bring out lots of books. There's a £500 version of this, which is a bit extreme, I must admit. It's probably a £10,000 one that's made out of gold or something. That would be even more extreme, wouldn't it? I don't think that exists. But you could imagine that sort of thing. However, they're also bringing out an Avengers one as well. I can't think of any others that I would think that would work. I mean, you wouldn't bring it out. Maybe Iron Man, but would anyone buy I suppose they could. Iron Man one, Thor, maybe Thor one, volume with Thor with all the early issues. I'd love to see them, but I'm not certain I'd be buying all of them. Maybe the Avengers. I say that bit of the glue just slightly, but I love that. It's always nice. The page mark, always great. Nice extra touch. But it's an impressive edition. I love it. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, you will probably never, unless you get the original comic books. And to be honest, I think even if you had the originals, you wouldn't have such and the paper quality is lovely. The paper quality is really nice. Is it the same quality of paper as would have been when you bought the comics? No. Don't think you could ever match that, because that was just of its time. I mean, again, those adverts are just brilliant. Love those ones. That's to say, pity they didn't include that story. That's the one that's missing. Strange Tales 2, unless it's in there. I didn't see it. My apologies if it is in there. Of course, X-Men at the bottom there. What a great advert. I mean, that is just issue 1, Strange Tales and Fantastic Four annual. One of the best annuals as well. But this is just beautiful. And the covers just are magical. Absolutely magical. I think the covers just shine. Just really are beautiful to see. Beautiful artwork. Now, that would be another book that I would love to see. If they brought a Taschen book out, say 500 or 600, say, covers of Marvel, the early covers from the 60s, that would be amazing. In this style, this format, this sharpness, this size, in this gloss, that would be staggering. Just that quality paper. Probably be expensive. Taschen books are never cheap. But I love Taschen books. Taschen books are the best. Other than occasionally a bit of glue there. I think that's slightly disappointing. However, I'm not gonna this just occasional thing. But this is beautiful. I'm really glad I bought it. I must admit I was umming and ahhing. I was, because obviously I've got stories before, so it's one of those ones you think, but it's some of my favourite stories. And I thought, Christmas present. A late Christmas present, but a Christmas present, I thought, why not? You can't take it with you, can you? So that's the way I always think about things. When I buy books, can't take it with you. You know, what's the point? Put it in my grave, obviously, one night. They could, who knows. However, this is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant volume. Really worth checking out. You should be able to, I would say, if you want to see it physically, the only way I would suggest, obviously, is to go to Taschen Bookshop. If there's a Taschen Bookshop, quite often they have them on display, which is always quite nice. I love going to the Taschen books. There was one anyway, I don't know. I haven't been there for a while. In Selfridges. Up in London, you go to Selfridges, and they've got a Taschen section in there. And I love going there and just opening all the books. They've got the fantasy art one, Masters of whatever it's, fantasy art, and some others as well. And they're just amazing. You just go around. I just love their books. They are just beautiful books. Absolutely, if not slightly expensive. They are too expensive. Yeah, you know. But still, occasionally you think. So, totally, super, totally times 10 recommended. this book